In this video, I'm going to provide some insight into the real estate profession in Armenia, Colombia. It's nothing like you've ever seen before. But first, a little background. My name is William Hutchison. I'm the owner of Armenia, Colombia Realty for Expats. And as the name suggests, our focus is on the expat community, people who might want to live or retire in Armenia. If you add .com to our name, you will be directed to our webpage where you'll find our blog and our current listings. Armenia is a city of about 325,000. It's part of the Coffee Triangle. It shares the other two corners with Pareja and Manizales. The climate here is perfect, 80 every day within a degree or two, 60 every night within a degree or two, 365 days of the year. It rains a lot, but generally at night. I call that music for sleeping. I got into this venture, this real estate profession, when I realized that the business protocols that I value were non-existent. With over 40 years in finance and residential construction, with fluent English and decent Spanish, I realized that I was uniquely qualified to meet the expectations of foreign clients. People coming here without the knowledge of the market, the business culture, how things are done in Colombia, and perhaps the language handicap, will find navigating the process fairly difficult. That's not to say that it cannot be done. There are expats here that have done it, and I suspect that they are very happy with the results. The other factor that has to be considered is what we call the wow factor. When you come here and see that property similar to your hometown is selling for 25 or 30% of what it sells for in your home country, it's very difficult to resist the urge to buy. But our recommendation from day one, and will continue to be our recommendation, is that people who come to Armenia that are not familiar with either this city or other parts of Colombia rent for at least 6 months. A year is even better. At the beginning of the video, we promised an overview, and it's different. In Colombia, there is no MLS board, so it's very, very difficult to arrive at values. We often, with our sellers, will look at other listings and try to get some idea of what the seller's property should be listed for. The issue here is many sellers overvalue what they have, and that's no more evident than in the private piece of the market, where people prefer to try to sell it on their own instead of hiring an agent. We've seen those listings on the market for 3 or 4 years. Having said that, the average sale time in Armenia approaches a year. But I think a lot of that is skewed by the fact that many properties are not listed for their value. It seems here that agents try to follow the market up, and their advice to their sellers is, the market has increased 10%, you should increase your asking price 10%. What they don't realize is that when the base is already too high, by adding 10% to it as you go along for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, it's ahead of the market, and it always will be. The other issue is there's no program here to educate, discipline, register, or license agents. People can, many have, decided that they want to sell real estate, and in a few minutes, by opening a Facebook page, they are. That leads to buyers not having in many cases, a lot of input from the agent that should be acting for them. Their knowledge is limited. Their uh, ability sometimes is limited. So the buyer is pretty much left on their own. In Colombia, you don't want to be left on your own buying anything. The other problem is that fiduciary duty here, the relationship between a buyer, seller, and the agent is non-existent. It's a very important duty. It's a duty that says, and by law, that the agent must act for who he is acting for, he or she, and that's not always the case here. Administration is also poor. We have seen listings for 6 or 7 years that are still shown as active. That's certainly possible, but it's not likely. Callbacks always take at least 24 hours, up to 72, 96 hours. If the property's sold, don't expect a callback saying it is. And that leaves the buyer wondering if it's still available. These deficiencies have led us as a company to voluntarily adopt the American Realtor Code of Ethics as our standard operating procedure. Some of the articles in that document can be disregarded. For example, Article 8 deals with escrow accounts, and there are no escrow accounts in Colombia. Articles 14 through 17 deal with agent discipline, arbitration, disputes that would normally be handled by the MLS board. And of course, with no MLS board, there is no process. That brings us to the end of the real estate situation here, and we leave the conclusions for it to you. Our next video is going to be a chat video similar to this. There are walkabout videos on YouTube about Armenia. One of general interest that you might find interesting is on a channel called Where's Wes. He did a walkabout of downtown Armenia, and it will give you good visuals of the city if you're not familiar with it. As a teaser in that next video, because we're going to talk about the lifestyle and the cost of living here, my average for all of my services over the last 15 months totals $75. That is electricity, water, gas for cooking and hot water, high-speed internet, and 160 channels of television. $75 a month. That's not a misspeak. That's what it is. I suggest that in your hometown, that would probably maybe cover just your internet and TV. On our website, we have 2 large homes listed, along with a home in Salento and a condominium in the best barrio in Armenia. The 2 large homes are both close to the airport. They can both be paid for in US dollars. They are American people selling. They're actually Colombians, but have spent a long time in America and still have bank accounts there. They will save the buyer the exchange rate, converting US dollars to Colombian pesos. And 2 to 3% does not sound like a lot, but it's a considerable amount when you convert it to dollars. This week, we will have 2 other condos listed. They will be, both are 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom in the best barrio. One is on the 5th floor of a building. Another is on the 11th floor of the same building. The vistas over the mountains and so on are absolutely spectacular. They will be listed for $148 US and $170 US respectively. They're both about 160 square meters and have been built in the last 18 months. For any of our listings, we have detailed feature sheets. They include room measurements, features of the house that are you might find outstanding. For example, the house on our thumbnail with this video has balconies on all but 1 bedroom. That house is close to the airport. It's over 4,000 square feet, 6-bedroom, 6-bathroom, beautiful pool, beautiful landscape grounds. It's in the best barrio in Quindio. And I know I said before that the condos would be in the best barrio. That is a barrio within the city itself. The best place to live in Armenia is near the airport. It's a little warmer there, not that it's ever cold in Armenia, and there's a lot of professional people there. Plus, it's only 5 minutes to the airport, and Fort Lauderdale by Spirit is a little over 3 hours on a direct flight. It's a big advantage here in Armenia to be able to get back to the United States that quickly. That brings us to the end of our first video. Your suggestions and comments are welcome. If there's a topic that you would like to see us covered, please cover it mention it in the comments. Any questions you have, we will get back to you as soon as we see them. This is William Hutchison of Armenia, Colombia for Realty for Expats, signing off. I live in paradise. You can too.